Hi, welcome back. We are looking at what is left over from the Skylark collection. And today what I'm going to do is walk through the additional layouts that I created using the leftovers from the Skylark workshop for layouts. My previous 3 videos, I walked through those workshop layouts and how I changed them to fit my aesthetic and how I liked those particular layouts. And I had a bunch of pieces left over, and so what I wanted to do was see how I could use those up because I didn't want to add them back into my stash. So what you see on my table right now is essentially what I have left from the Skylark collection after making 3 2-page layouts, a single page layout, and 3 cards. This is what I have left. And so I'm really happy with the usage of paper that I was able to get out of this particular collection, and that I won't have to add this back into my stash to never be looked at again. So we are going to take a look at the layouts that I created with the leftovers. So the first layout that I created was using Make It From Your Heart, Volume 6, Pattern 18. And this particular pattern had a large center piece of paper that that actually worked with some of the paper I had left over. So the idea of using this large centerpiece spanning the 2 pages really worked out, and then adding in strips of cardstock or other pattern paper along the sides, and then again another stripe across the middle really worked with what I had left from a paper perspective. One of the things that this particular layout has is it has this long banner piece on the right-hand side. And so I didn't have a piece that would work for that. So I tricked your eye a little bit with this, and I'll show you how I use that particular piece on the layout. All right, so this is using, again, that large piece of paper in the center that got split across the 2 pages. I've added a piece of pattern paper, again, going straight down, and then the cardstock, so layering in that cardstock. The other thing that I did is I took a piece of the shortbread paper on the light side, and I took the stamp from the stamp set and made my own pattern paper doing a tone-on-tone stamp, which I think really worked well and had a place for those pictures to land. The other thing that I did here is I did add some black in. So there's touches of black pretty much throughout this layout. It started with this narrow piece of shimmer trim that I had in my stock. So this is black shimmer trim. Obviously, I've matted the photos on black. And then I did the stamping in black, and I've added the black dots as highlights. The stamping itself is direct to the layout, and then I did a technique of just doing a color wash behind it in the limeade color. I did that same color wash behind the journaling strips that I used here. So hopefully you'll be able to see that pretty well on camera. And then on the right hand side, I did a color wash here where the 2 pictures meet. I did a color wash up in the right hand side, and then I did a color wash down here on that cluster of embellishments. So that, I was able to really get the pattern to work for me. And the only place where it was slightly off was, again, this piece here, which in the pattern has a full strip of paper coming down. Well, I didn't have that full strip. So I took a strip of pattern paper that I had that was the width that I wanted. I had another piece that I cut down that I could make a little bit deeper or a little bit taller. so that I could put the banner cutout down below. And then I just moved the pictures together so that I didn't need to show that pattern paper coming all the way down that set of pictures. I also did a outline around these photos. So I will cut the 3x4s down slightly so that I have that border showing around it. All right, so that was layout number 1, using the pattern from Make It From Your Heart, Volume 6, number 17. The second pattern that I used was also from Make It From Your Heart, Volume 6, but this is pattern number 2. This is a 1-page layout that I turned into a 2-page layout. The thing about this layout in particular that's really good is that it uses small amounts of paper. So the papers that you see here that are these daisy papers on this particular layout, they are just small strips of paper, which is really great when you have just a little bit left or you are trying to use up a kit. This piece here is just a 1-inch strip by 12. This is a 1/4-inch strip. So using that patterned paper, when you're down to those last little bits, this layout design is perfect for, because the cardstock pieces are where you have your bigger paper consumption, and we all have a lot of cardstock in our stash. It's a lot easier for us to pull in a 5.5 by 6.5 piece of cardstock than maybe it is to pull in a 5.5 by 6.5 piece of patterned paper. So these strips are, the widest one is 1 inch and the narrowest one is 1/2 inch, and they are 4 inches, 3.5 inches, and 4.5 inches. So again, really great usage of the patterned paper when you're down to that little bit. So I took this one and I created a 2-page layout. And I did it as having the larger strip down here at the bottom of the layout versus up at the top. I wanted the weight down at the bottom. And actually, this is reversed. This needs to go this way. Sorry about that. And this essentially follows, the left-hand side follows exactly what was on the pattern. Using the strips of paper. The right-hand side, I mimicked it using, again, the same colors of the lagoon and the toffee, and then having the strips of the pattern paper and adding in some lagoon here on the right to mimic this lagoon piece here. Some of the details of this one are that I did ink around the patterned paper so that it would stand out from the white base. I inked up the sticker here, this is Happiness sticker with toffee. And then this sticker I cut in half because it was quite wide and I didn't need to use all of that. It wasn't going to be showing. So I cut it in half and I inked that with the limeade ink. And then on the right-hand side, again, I inked all of these pieces. I added the flags and tags up here at the top. And then at the bottom, I used that other half of the sticker from the left-hand side underneath This Happened. And the last thing on this one you'll notice is I did matte these on a darker cardstock. This is mocha, and I felt like the mocha really grounded the layout by taking that darker shade of brown and using it with all these greens and teals. The dots are from Silver Bells, which unfortunately are no longer available, but I still had a bunch in my stash, and I really like the brown tones that are pulling in from the other browns that are on this particular layout. All right, so the next layout actually came from our current idea book, so our January, February idea book. And the layout that I chose here was on page 34, which is strips of paper at different widths and lengths and creating a 2-page layout. And then it's bordered by solid cardstock, which they've done some white splatters on. And I didn't do the double matting that they did, but I did a single matting, again, bringing in the black into this layout to ground it a little bit, I've added in as well the journey color that I used in one of the workshop layouts. And then I had a bunch of the circle stickers left, and they happened to all be the birds. So I had the bird here, and I hadn't used the bird cage. And so I used that as my theme for this particular layout, the circles going with the stripes. And in this one, I also have done some tone-on-tone stamping on the light shortbread. I have dark shortbread cardstock, I've got toffee, I've got limeade, and then I have the journey as well as these stripes. And really what I did is I just took a look at what I had. And so the left side and the right side aren't exactly equal. Like the shortbread here is a little bit wider than the shortbread over there. The strip here is a little bit wider than this strip, but they're all lined up, and it flows pretty well. The other thing that I did is I did ink up with toffee the stickers. So that sticker, the sticker on this side, as well as the bird cage. So those are all inked in toffee. And then the journaling block here is inked in in limeade. You'll also notice that my title is highlighted. This is in journey, so to pull in more journey. And then on the bottom right, I also use journey for the words down on the bottom right. And then finally adding in the hearts, the journey hearts, and then some paperboard of the wood grain paperboards. So again, just leveraging what I had left and adding in a little bit more color into that one. The last layout that I did was also from the idea book, and this is on page 11 of the idea book. This one has a bunch of pattern paper sitting behind this picture, and this paper is what we would call the hero paper. It's very, very bold and in your face, and I had one piece of this left from the Skylark collection, and so I thought that this layout would be really conducive to using that piece of paper. It's got a big title here. It's using the stamp set from this stamp set down below. It's got a zip strip here, etc. So that's how I ended up with this one-page layout. With this layout, I had, again, this big piece of pattern paper left. I paired it with the pieces of the limeade and the shortbread toffee combination. This center piece here is actually two pieces of paper. The seam is underneath this photo, so no one will ever know that this isn't a full piece of paper. So they're all cut to the same size and layered together. The thing that I wanted to do with this one is kind of keep this to two colors, to the limeade color and to the browns, the shortbread toffee colors. And I was able to do that because I also had the zip strip left, that I had a full zip strip, and at the end there is another word that says amazing that was in Lagoon. I just tore that off, and I tore off this other side, and it fit almost perfectly at the bottom of this block. And then I stamped in limeade from the stamp set, the swirls. Live in the Moment is also stamped, and this is actually stamped in mocha. I wanted to go just slightly darker than the toffee just to make it stand out a little bit, and then I inked up the edges of this with toffee. Hopefully you can kind of see that. And then I mounted it on a piece of stenciled paper that is, again, in the limeade, so using the stencil from the pack. And then I inked up each of the die cuts here, and again you're seeing those silver bells dots again. Now the original layout only had one picture, and I wanted to have a few more, so I went from a 5x7. I made this a 4x6. It's actually slightly smaller than a 4x6, and you'll be able to slip the photo underneath because I have no adhesive right here. So I added these 3x3s, and then I added a 3x3 flip flap where you can have your journaling, and I've got my placeholder upside down, but that's okay. The only other thing here is that I did initially start off with black as my grounding piece, but I didn't like it after I looked at it. But will notice that I have the stitch lines. They are in black. I don't think it takes away from this layout, but if I had thought it headed further a little bit, I might have done that in a brown stitch versus a black stitch. But again, I don't think it detracts from it. I don't think most people will notice. All right, so those are the layouts that I created. I still had some pieces left. I had a sticker left, and I had a few other, bigger pieces of paper left. So at that point, I decided I'd take a look at the cards that were part of the workshop, and two of the cards I thought I could make with what was still left over from making those layouts. So the first one is this one. I actually had this piece of paper that was shown in the card, but I had trimmed off some pieces, and so mine was a little bit more narrow. So what I did is I inked that up in the limeade just so it would stand off of the white. I did do the same that she has here. I have a piece of the green limeade cut to the same size, and then I have a 1/2 inch piece of the lagoon pattern paper there. And then that amazing word that was on the strip that I trimmed off from that last layout worked perfectly on this card. And then I used some of the die shapes, die cutouts as well, and then one piece of the sticker that was left. I did do the same thing that she did here, where she backed the flower with some paper. I just happened to use the stripe paper instead of the solid paper, because I had a little itty bitty piece and that worked just perfectly there. The other card that I made was based off of card number 2 on the workshop, and that's this card. I actually had this sticker left that I couldn't find a place on any of my layouts, so I just created these other 2 options instead of using the stickers like she has used here. Again, stenciled the top, took a 1/2 inch piece of paper that I had left. This saying, you and me, I had done a couple of versions to test out on the previous layouts that I showed you. Before I used the Journey, I had the Lagoon and the limeade, and I just happened to like the Journey better. So I just repurposed them for some fun ways to use up those scraps. So if you have questions about any of these layouts, want any other details, please feel free to leave a comment below. I'll be happy to answer those. And if you like these kinds of videos that are a little bit shorter and are just going through layouts that I've created, let me know. I'm trying to figure out the balance between long, hour-long videos where I'm actually going through the whole process live on camera versus showing you results, and which way is more interesting to you as the audience. So any information or feedback that you'd like to give me on that, I would love to have. Also, if you like this video, please feel free to hit the like button. That gives me a nice feeling, a nice little dopamine fix. When I get likes on my videos, it's always fun. And I would love to have you as a subscriber if you're not already a subscriber. My goal this year is to get to 500 subscribers. I'm under 200 right now, so I would love to try and increase that as the year goes on. And I thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day and look forward to seeing you on my next video.